Welcome to the Universal Drummer. I'm Wade, and today going to talk about how I personally don't think you need drums in order to learn how to play drums. So, in the years that I've spent playing drums and teaching drums, playing in bands, watching drummers live, talking to drummers, talking to drummers about other drummers, I've started circling back to what I would call kind of a foundational set of skills when it has to do with drums. And there's a handful of these, and I will get into them further. But at the core, it's your time, your ability to keep it and, divide the bold arrow of time up into even little chunks, the ability to recall certain tempos to kick off songs, playing ahead or behind the beat, dividing increments of time up into different rhythms. So, your 16th notes, eighth notes, quarter notes, quintuplets, so on and so forth, your ability to play syncopated rhythms accurately and incorporate different rests and silence into your playing, your coordination, being able to maybe keep time with one limb while sort of orbiting it with your other limbs and doing all kinds of stuff. What a lot of people call independence, coordination, synchronization, that sort of stuff. Your vocabulary, whether it's very intricate tabla rhythms or your standard Vic Firth website 40 rudiments, all of that kind of stuff. Your ability to express yourself, whether it's using dynamics, articulation, phrasing, that sort of thing. And then, of course, the techniques to do all that kind of stuff, whether you're playing with your hands or whether you're using your hands to hold stuff and hit things with it. But doing so in a way that doesn't injure you and allows you to be efficient and, to really utilize your anatomy and to understand your anatomy and physiology and your movement. The study of the instrument, knowing how drums work, how really the acoustics of hitting any surface works, how to actually form a practice routine and develop muscle memory and develop the skill set that it takes to be able to play, as Benny Greb put it, what you want, when you want, how you want to. Understanding the history of the drums, and not just the drum set, but understanding where it came from, where the lineage of each individual piece of the kit takes you through the world and through the history, and respecting that as well. Understanding that some aspects of drums are directly tied to very, very profound and important cultural history, and understanding the prominent drummers that have paved the way of innovation on this instrument. On top of that, there's the mind side of it, the different philosophy, psychology, neuroscience side of it, whether it's understanding what different drummers value, the different approaches to the instrument, the ways that drumming can affect people's mind and how, tension and release can affect people, especially dancers. The neuroscience side of it, especially pertaining to the practice routines. Creativity, unlocking your inner child and not interfering with yourself and getting in the way of your own creativity. Essentially just playing the drums with the verb being play. Your interoception, especially with learning technique, the ability to feel your body and feel tension and feel when you're rebounding, and your pattern recognition, arguably one of the biggest things that pulls us to this instrument, whether it's hearing and recreating intricate patterns or just very basic pattern recognition of hearing a tempo and feeling compelled to continue that tempo with your body motion. Your memory, your ability to remember songs and remember intricate forms and memorize stuff and challenge your brain in that way. Your listening, whether it's like orchestral listening, which is like the ability to listen to a piece of music and understand the different parts that are going on in it, or listen to a drum recording and be able to transcribe something roughly based off of your sound, the way that a lot of the old early jazz and rock and roll drummers were approaching this instrument. And of course, with the mind side of things comes the body side of it, understanding your anatomy, understanding how hinges work and radial ulnar rotation work and how your fingers work, all of the different motions from the tips of your fingers to your shoulders to your back to your alignment, all of that kind of anatomy, physiology, movement science, ergonomics and posture, and all of those little pieces that are incredibly important to this instrument. And then, of course, kind of your standard high school and collegiate music curriculum stuff, your aural skills, which is, conducting and ear training and music theory, composition, and then more contemporary skills like songwriting, writing riffs, understanding the styles and the music history of the last 100 years, understanding the code and how to respect your fellow musicians, how to play in a group, the different roles that we can take on and the responsibilities and things like that. And so you start looking at this whole picture, and really it very rarely does any of this actually require you to own a drum kit. And I think that the drum kit is an astonishing intersect of so many parts of the world, and I love having ideas in my head and getting them out on the drums and hearing the sound reverberate through the walls. But when it comes to interacting with our bold arrow of time and playing the drums and all of the things I just talked about, a lot of that is up here, and it's connecting your brain to your hands and your feet and your motion and understanding and being able to actively listen and engage with music. And so I think that this is a very important discussion because we're starting to reach a point where drums are really expensive and cost of living is expensive. And we're kind of starting, and kind of have been there for a long time anyways, that the only people who are jumping into the community of drumming are those that can afford to do it. And with something that is so directly tied to community, self-expression, and communication, and really like the ancient roots of humanity, to make that only be available to people who can afford the drums and who have neighbors who will put up with the drums, and especially with drum lessons, those who can afford to actually hire someone to help them with this, it becomes prohibitively expensive. And I think that at this point in time, at least myself, I'm looking to welcome as many people into this community, kind of as the name of my channel goes, be as universal as possible for as many people as possible. And so this video acts as a little bit of a reminder to maybe some other educators out there that just keeping in mind that some people's interactions with this instrument is through a little tabletop MPC that they're pressing buttons on, or a hand drum of some sort, or just slapping on their thighs and playing with the shaker at open mic nights. And it's also a call to myself to work harder and center this channel more so on what my original intent was, which was to meet people where they're at. Y'all are welcome in this community. You know, you don't have to have a drum set or a snare drum or a practice pad or a djembe, palongo drum, doumbek, tablas, whatever it is, because to me, drumming is taking what's up here and using my body to turn it into sound. And I think that you don't need drums to do that. I just think that you have to have the desire to learn, the willingness to study, the willingness to integrate it into your playing, basically the intent to put time towards it. You know, I'm still going to make drum set content because I played the drums for hours every day, but I'm going to pin this video to the top of my channel, and I'm going to really set it as an intent to myself to be a universal drummer, as the name says. So with that being said, this is the Universal Drummer. I'm Wade. Happy New Year. I'll see you next time.